Here is a video on how to paint. It will give you steps that you will need to follow to complete your painting process. It will go over steps such as gathering your paint, mixing your paint up, flushing in your gun, painting your parts, and also dealing with some cleanup. So what we have here is the first step is selecting your paint. You will pick out your paint and you will open up the top. The next step will be to take your paint and figure out how many cups you want. The stick in the picture is ranked on cups, so you will decide how much you need. After that, you will get out your catalyst. Your catalyst will help bind your paint together for helping it stick onto the part which you are painting. You will then pour the certain amount into your bucket with the paint in it. After that, you will then gather your paint thinner, and it will help thin out the paint, making it where it's not so hard to come out of your gun and difficult to spray. You can also use the same cup as you used for the catalyst. What you will do now is pour that into the bucket, and once you are done with that, you will then take your stirring stick and stir the paint together. And it will usually take about 30 seconds of stirring, and most people tend to do a figure 8 motion to help create air pockets in the paint to help mix it a lot better. After that, you will then get out a filter and you will pour the paint that you just stirred through the filter into another bucket, because sometimes your paint will have some chunks in it and you need to remove those to help making the spraying process a lot easier. Once that is done, you can take your paint to your air pressure pump, and you can set it up where in this picture it shows that the wand is put into the paint. These are the regulators that control how much pressure you get going into your gun, and for this step you will open them wide up. After that, you will grab your spray gun and you will start spraying and removing the contents already inside your gun, which will usually already be thinner. You'll spray it into the waste bucket. You will continue to keep spraying until you will eventually hit paint. As in, when I switch to the next picture, you will see the difference. The stream gets a little bit thinner. I will go back to the next picture just to give another example of you can see the difference, how when it's spraying thinner, it's a lot wider, and when you get paint, it turns to be a lot thinner. After that, you will then fix your regulator, and normally you only need about 15 pounds of pressure in your pump to spray efficiently. You don't want to have too much, otherwise you end up spraying too much paint, and you don't want to have not enough, because then you don't get enough paint on the part, and it's difficult to keep up with the line speed. The next step is to grab your paint gun in your dominant hand and get ready to spray. You can see the white part on the boot on the gun, which is the boot cover, which helps protect the gun from getting paint on it. So what you'll do is you'll grab it in your hand and you'll start. I normally start to the right of the part, and the technique I do is you hit the part from 4 different ways. So you have your right, your left, your top, your bottom. And if you were needed to have more paint on it, you could take another pass through the middle. The first step that I always do, because I'm right-handed, is to spray down the right side of the part. You want to make sure that you have a steady hand and you move at a good pace so that you don't move too slow and put too much paint on, but you don't want to move too fast and not put enough on. So after you hit the right side, you'll want to go and hit the left side. And once you're done hitting the left side, you will hit the tops, and then eventually you will hit underneath, all keeping a steady hand and moving at a good pace to make sure you're applying enough paint on there. You'll want to make sure to check your part after you hit it from the 4 different angles to make sure you have a good coat, because then if you don't, you will need to add some more paint and take another pass across the center, or maybe you'll take 2 passes on the right, 2 passes on the left, 2 passes on the top, 2 passes underneath. It's all really based on how fast you would like to move. After that, Again, you'll see a clear picture of what the part should generally look like. It should be a lighter bit coat. If it takes 2 coats, if it is a 1 coat job, then you will need to have a little bit heavier where it will end up looking a lot shinier. After that will come the cleanup, and you will take your wand and remove it from the paint and stick it in the thinner bucket. And you will then grab your gun and start spraying the waste until the thinner comes out of your gun and it looks generally clean, so you don't have remnants of paint that hides in your gun. After that, you'll take it over to your cleaning station, and if there's any remainder paint on the tip of your gun, you will use the scrub brush as shown in the picture, and you will clean the tip of your gun to make sure that the air holes are all clean, to make sure that you will spray good for next time. Sometimes parts will take 2 coats, and as seen here, the same parts needed a second coat, and in order to do that, you would repeat the process of the video, and you would do it exactly the same and spray the second coat. And that is how you paint.